Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Rubania AutomationWali and a very warm welcome. And today we are truly honored to have with us Trish, an educator and learning consultant from Oxford, UK. And she focuses on helping children and young people build confidence, self-worth, and a positive mindset toward learning. So I welcome Trish. You can joining a short talk with Rubania. I really appreciate it. Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. And yourself?
Welcome. So, first of all, my first question is that can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Trish Mullenberg. I work mostly with children and teens, occasionally with adults, but I do prefer to work with the younger generation, unless the adult is very much in touch with their inner child and curious and willing to, approach things in a childlike way, then it can also work. My primary focus is self-worth. And that can be so the person can have a low self-worth because perhaps things are not going well in school. It could be because of academic performance. It could be because they have neuro differences that make accessing the school curriculum difficult. Or it could be because they're being bullied. There's like a whole host of reasons. Sometimes it's also more physiological and more genetic. So it's something that doesn't necessarily have an obvious trigger, right? And I work with these individuals very holistically. So we look at them, their entire environment and their character and their personality and all of these factors. And we have a look at what are the barriers, like what are the things that are making self-worth something difficult for them to feel. And then we systematically introduce tools and methods and exercises in order to increase the person's self-worth.
Okay, that's great. That's really inspiring. And thank you for sharing. Okay, so my next question, what inspired you to choose this field?
I love working with young people. I think young people have a really beautiful energy. Um, I also just think that so many young people are disadvantaged and that they are not given all the building blocks and all the tools and the accommodations that they need in order to flourish. So it's just an area where there is a very, very big need, and it's an area where my heart really goes out to.
Okay, that's amazing. My next question is that how do you define self-worth in students?
Self-worth is the ability to believe in yourself and to be able to face challenges that arise um, in a way that is healthy and and that might mean just kind of sitting with hard emotions, you know. It might just mean, sitting with and trusting that it takes time to process things that are difficult. Because, I mean, for example, say like I have a dog that I really love, and I have a really special, soul connection with this dog. And then this dog passes away, right? Um, I need to be able to just kind of ride the waves of grief and just trust the process and just keep going. If I have a high self-worth, it's easier to face those kind of challenges than if my self-worth is low.
Okay, that's a very powerful explanation. Thank you. And my next question, biggest challenge student face.
The biggest challenge that students face is definitely their environment. Students are in an environment often that is exceptionally unhealthy and isn't conducive to them thriving and developing optimally. So I would definitely say environment is the single biggest problem. We as a society do not appreciate people enough. We do not celebrate people enough. We do not build people up enough. We often do the exact opposite. So we create very, very unhealthy environments, and especially for tweens and teens who are very vulnerable and very sensitive and very impressionable. It's a very dangerous situation. And yeah, I would definitely say environment is the biggest challenge.
All right. I think that that's a very important point. And my next question, role of teachers in mindset.
The role of teachers in mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, I think the most important thing is for them to be good role models. So they should themselves be emotionally intelligent and be curious and wanting to learn, have a learning mindset, and be very, very good active listeners. Respect is such an important part of the of the relationship, of any relationship. And that respect, I know it's such a cliche, that like respect has to be mutual, but it really does. And I've seen in many cases where the teachers do not respect the.
Okay, that's great. And my next question is that most important quality of a good educator.
Compassion.
Okay.
Do you want me to elaborate?
Uh, okay. So my next question is that how has your experience shaped your style?
My style.
Yeah.
Hmm. I don't know what kind of experience. I don't know. I guess maybe coming from a multicultural background, or not as in like my parents, but the fact that I grew up with a lot of different cultures around me. I grew up in a very strange house when I was really young, in the sense that my parents bought this beautiful old Art Nouveau house in a suburb in South Africa, which South Africans will know if I mention it. It was in a suburb called Houghton. And essentially, the only way they could afford to buy it was by renting out a lot of the rooms. And we had, at that time in South Africa, lots of European people um, from all over the world that had gone there, adventurous people and very open-minded people. So we had all sorts of nationalities in the house, very interesting people. And then my father himself was one of the few very kind of active anti-apartheid people. Not so much politically, like some, I have a few friends, parents who were way more politically active. He wasn't so politically active, but we would have the Secret Services watching us because he had too many friends of color. So black friends, Indian friends, and colored friends. And yeah, we just grew up in a very kind of like flat way where respect was always given first, it wasn't earned. Everybody got respect regardless of gender, age, um, or race, ethnicity, etc., etc. I mean, it was unheard of in South Africa in those days. My family would sit and eat together with people of color, even people that my father was perhaps employing. And that was very strange for South Africans to see. And I think also like a really big thing is as a woman, you're a woman, and you understand this. Although you're 11, do you consider yourself a girl or a woman?
Okay.
Are you a girl or a woman at 11?
Girl.
A girl. Okay, you're a girl. So as a girl, and when I was a little girl, when I was your age, my father, as the male role model in the house, always treated me super, super equally. So my brother and I, we were the same. It was a bit of a joke that I was supposed to be a boy and my name was supposed to be Patrick. And I was a super, super tomboy. And yeah, so I went into the world always feeling equal and almost like a blind, like a blind kind of behavior, like a blind faith. Like like a horse when they have the horse clappers on, like this, and they can't see left or right.
Yeah.
I just always felt like I was not a man and not a woman. We were just all the same. It was weird. And I think I walked into a lot of rooms that way and I was able to be successful because I never felt I didn't belong. And I always felt like my voice and my opinion was valid. Um, and I guess I'm quite thick-skinned as well. So then if somebody was rude or misogynistic or condescending or anything, I would just ignore it and just keep going. Because for me, it's always about the output. It's always about the outcome. I don't do politics, right? And also weirdly, actually, this is a weird one. My dad taught me this one thing that I think has influenced me a lot. He always said if somebody is unkind to you, if somebody doesn't say hello back, or if somebody's rude, it's not about you, it's always about them. Never think it's about you. It was like a lesson he taught me really early on, and it really instilled it. And I think that's been super, super useful for me. So I think that's affected how I work with students, definitely. I never take behavior personally. I always see where it's coming from and I see potential in people always, and I will work very, very hard to draw that potential out. I'm infinitely patient, like too patient often, in fact.
Okay, that's nice experience. And my next question, what role does emotional support play in learning success?
Oh, it's so critical. Like in your brain, right? We've got like the prefrontal cortex is like the main area, where we're doing cognitive processing and we're executive function, work is happening. And then at the back here in the brain stem, we've got like the limbic system, our little reptilian brain that kicks in when we need to, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn when we need to survive. And if our emotions are just incorrect, because often a little bit of emotion is good. Like I remember having a neuro when I did first year medical science before I changed, and I had an anatomy professor who was a neurosurgeon, and I'll never forget. He said to me, to all of us, said to all of us, you need to be a little bit nervous to do well in the exam. So a little bit of emotion, right? Like a little bit of nerves, and then you'll do better, but not too much, right? That your thinking brain switches off. So just the right amount of emotional regulation, and when I say emotional regulation, it's like a cocktail, right? You want to make like a really kind of perfect cocktail with just the right like levels of emotions because you want to be motivated, right? Like I used to use an example often with my kids. I used to say, if you met, so these kids were older, okay? And I'd say if you met, so if it was like maybe it was a whole group of boys, then I'd say if you met this really, really lovely girl and you thought she was just amazing, and she tells you her name, and she's got an unusual name, and usually you struggle to remember names, but because you really, really like her, you're going to remember the name now, right? So that's where emotion, like as an example of showing how it can really help in learning.
Okay, that's great. And my next question is that how do you help student um overcome fear of failure?
Oh, fear of failure is horrible. Nobody wants to fail, right?
Mhm.
I
Okay.
think first accepting it, accepting that it's a very human emotion and it sucks and it's not nice, right?
Yeah.
And I think if we're failing at something all the time, we need to ask ourselves, should we be doing it? Also, we need to be realistic. Like, I am not that good at maths. If I did like higher level maths, I would fail. If I did higher level physics, I would fail. It's not right for my brain, right? I do not have a strong maths brain. I never have had. I don't have a good like a spatial visual memory. I can't turn things around in my head, and generally those things are quite linked. Um, and I mean, I have disagreements with some math teachers about this. Some of them feel very strongly that had I been taught in a different way from a very young age, and I represent a lot of students, right? A lot of students struggle with maths. That I would have been a good C student, right? Um, maybe, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to like rule it out. If we look at Singapore maths, the data actually would support that hypothesis. So maybe. But I think we have to be realistic about what we're good at. And I think what I like to focus on, I do like to use a strengths-based approach, which I know is also just so cliche and so overused, but when it's used properly, it really does work. So empowering, and again, we go back to self-worth. So empowering students with the knowledge of what they are good at, because when you know you are good at various things, you shouldn't care anymore. Like, I'll give you another example. I am really, really bad at sports. Are you good at sports?
Yeah.
Yeah. What sports are you good at?
Badminton.
Oh, badminton, that's my son's favorite. I love that. That's so cool. Okay, I am shocking at sports. I do not have hand-eye-ball coordination. I cannot run. I'm probably quite discoordinated. I did karate for 10 years, so that probably helped me be better at balance and coordination. But generally, I am shocking at sports, right? Now, I'm okay with that because I know I'm really, really good at other like at lots of other things. I'm very, very good at other things. So I think it's very important to balance failure with success because that's when the failure stops mattering so much. Um, it is very, very tricky when you have a brain that is super niche or a body and a brain that are super niche, where it's hard to find the strengths and what the person is good at. But I do think everybody has a good couple of things, at least three things that they are very, very, very good at. And I believe it is the educator's job and the parents' job, the carers, the custodians of that young human to find those things and to really, really nurture them and really, really celebrate them. And then failing becomes so insignificant.
Okay, that's amazing. Amazing points. And my next question is that do you think online learning is more effective than traditional classrooms?
I think different uh different situations, right? Um different goals. I don't think one is better than the other. I think you have to look at the goal of the learning. So for example, if I wanted to improve my maths, it would be way better for me to I'll just show you just a silly example. So if I have these pens, right? to have an engineering-based example where I was asked to build something with these pens and some elastic bands or physics, that would be better for me to do deep learning and learning that enables me to truly develop a way of thinking, because that is often the most important kind of foundation that we need. And then there's other instances in which online learning is fabulous. Like, I'll give you some examples. Um, when I used to work full time in a classroom, I used to, especially the students that were more advanced, this is English, specifically English, that were more advanced in English. I would tell them to go onto one of the big MOOCs, one of the big online university, the free platforms. Back then, it was MIT was the big one that was like super duper popular, and find an online course, any free online course, and create a summary of it and a presentation and a set of questions and answers, like 50 questions and 50 answers, basically make their own exam. And in that instance, online is amazing, because where else would you find that? Where else? Or YouTube, huh? Like, if you and I want to learn something, like I want to learn how to do a specific edit, or you want to learn how to do something specific with podcasting, right? YouTube is phenomenal, right? Like, you open your two windows, you have your YouTube tutorial on that side, on this side, you work it through. Weirdly, often I do still prefer humans. So I will often, when I have a tech issue, I will still find myself a human that can help me kind of work through it. But I will always first try something like YouTube, or even an AI search. I use Lumo because it's more secure and more ethical. Something like that to just get me on the right track.
Okay, that's amazing. That's great. And my next question is that how can parents support their children in education and confidence building?
So how can parents support their children in education and confidence building?
Yeah.
Parents specifically. Role model, role model learning, role model knowing your strengths, role model doing things that you can't do and being comfortable failing, right? Being able to laugh at yourself when you can't do something. Um, and maybe persevering. Maybe you want to learn how to play the violin, and you then show your kids that you're awful to start and that you slowly, slowly, slowly get better, right? Um, so what else could you role model? Definitely healthy tech use. So using these things in a healthy way, right? So setting very clear boundaries, having tech-free spaces, tech-free times, setting timers, not role modeling endless scrolling, or mindless tech use. What else? Positive self-talk, modeling positive self-talk. Definitely no negative self-talk. No, oh, I'm stupid, or I'm such an idiot. Why did I do that? None of that, right? When you notice yourself do that, correct it, and correct it in front of the kids. Um, Uh, a important part of self-worth is becoming really comfortable with our so-called negative emotions. So emotions like shame, anger, embarrassment, all of those. So I think as a parent, it's very important to model those emotions in front of children and model how they serve a purpose, and how we also need to keep space for them and acknowledge them, and not demonize them, so to speak. I know that's a bit of a heavy word, but that happens a lot. So say, for example, us as females, right? We're females and we're generally taught not to show anger. Okay. That's like supposed to be a male behavior. But anger is a very healthy emotion, and it's an emotion that keeps us safe. It's an emotion that tells us that somebody's like overstepped a boundary, right? That somebody has done something to us that we don't like. Now, that is very, very, very useful from an evolutionary perspective. That literally kept us alive in many instances. So modeling it, like saying to the people around us, um, I'm really irritated right now, or I'm frustrated or I'm angry, right? Like actually modeling healthy emotions, the full spectrum.
Okay, that's great. Amazing, nice. And now this is my last question. What message would you like to give to young learners around the world?
Advice.
Yeah.
Um, huh. So I say believe in yourself. I do say believe in yourself, but I know that's really hard sometimes. Trust that life is in constant flux, like trust that life is ever changing. And if you're a teenager and you're like, you hate your life and you're angsty and you're moody and, life sucks and your parents are irritating and whatever, and maybe your friends have let you down and, the girl you like doesn't like you or the boy you like doesn't like you, just try to have some faith that it's going to get better. It will get better. It always gets better. Like it's the hardest time when you're a teenager. I think when you're a kid, it's a lot easier, but when you get a little bit older, life gets hard. And I think it's one of the hardest periods in human development and a human's kind of, life cycle. And just try to accept that it's going to be hard and that you just need to like ride those waves a little bit and just trust that you're going to come out the other side.
Okay, that's great message. Amazing. And thank you so much, Trish, for sharing your valuable time and insight with us today. And you're thoughtful about education, confidence, and self-worth are truly inspiring and will surely help many young learners. We're grateful for your presence and wish you all a very best and your future journey. Thank you so much once again. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching.
Thank you so much, darling. Can I ask you a question before you go?
Yeah.
So, Rubania, I hope I'm saying your name like remotely correctly. Um, what do you want to achieve in your life? What are your goals?
Hey. My goal is that I am become the successful confidence woman and graphic designer.
Graphic designer.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. I was a graphic designer for a few years.
Okay.
Very cool. Okay. So I am going to invite